In Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Hail Mary,
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women, blessed is the fruit of your Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Glory be.
Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen.
In the name
Of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Praise be to Jesus Christ.
Now and forever. Amen. Good morning, Jesus.
This morning we have an extraordinary, I suppose, happening in our assembly, and I'd like to thank the primary school for creating this space and place, and also we have invited the first year from Salesian High, and I'd like to thank the teachers again for their presence this morning as well as every morning. I suppose like any story, it all begins with primary, our early days of primary. And as we were reminded again by the principal, that how we start and how we journey through, how we grow and develop as Salesian right through our early formation in education. So beginning in primary and then following through to high school. Anyway, this morning, it is a great honor to welcome somebody very special, a past pupil, again, who has, has many accolades to his name, and we are very proud to have him in our presence today, as we are with any of our past pupils who come back, again, to really give of their best, again, in thanksgiving. And so, without further ado, I would like to introduce you with Mr. Elias again, Masilela, who, again, as you know, is a publisher, a great historian, and has written a fabulous book on Trelawney Park, number 43. This is their 10th anniversary, and again, it has been a great achievement as regards the graces and blessings that have unfolded right through these years. So, without further ado, again, I'd like to hand him over to you and to welcome him with appreciation of a round of applause. Okay.
Sanbonan. Ninjan. Good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Fine.
I got goosebumps. I got goosebumps when you started praying. It reminded me of the good old days. Believe it or not, I was your age one day. And I was wearing this green uniform. To this very day, I'm proud of this green uniform. I may have been influenced by the high school to be wearing blue today, but ideally I should have worn green. It's emotional for me that when I set foot in Salesian for my first grade, right at the end, was in 1970. And I was very lucky that I was allowed to be in the school up until I completed my Form 5 in 1982. You should count yourselves very lucky, very fortunate, and very privileged to be part of the school. Last year, December 25, on Christmas Day, I was in this office interviewing the headmistress. Your headmistress. The reason I interviewed the headmistress is because of a major project that we are on to document the history of the Salesian school and the Salesians in Swaziland. What surprised me and actually hurt me a bit was that there are certain monuments in the school that are being lost. Not because we are being deliberate in losing those monuments, but because we don't know them, we don't appreciate them. Gubotishela, I just want to check. I did check with the headmistress. Who knows Somhloloana Stadium? These hands are very courageous. Okay, I will pick one. Come and tell us what it is. Stand here. Come and stand here. Where is Somhloloana? Eh? Lobam. Bese Somhlolo uba kuphi? Okay. That is part of the history of the school that is being lost. How many of who of us are in grade 1? Grade 1, grade 1, grade 1, grade 1. Grade 1s are the most fortunate in this gathering. Behind the grade 1 classes, there is an amphitheater. That amphitheater was our hall, was our stadium. We used to call it Somhloloana Stadium. It had a very big tree which formed a roof. Even when it rained, that stadium stayed dry. When I checked, I realized that that stadium is no longer being used. The history is not known. Deputy, we need to rekindle that history. We need to bring back Somhloloana Stadium. Now, I am also very pleased that I've been coming to the school consistently for the past 10 years. But whenever I come to the school, I would go to the high school. It was on December 25 when I was interviewing the headmistress, who reminded me and said, Yemaslel, ngiyanibona ndokunifika la niya high school, and you forget that your foundation is actually here, not at high school. That touched me quite deeply. And I acknowledged the guilt, and I said it shall be corrected. I then made a request between the headmaster was a high school and the headmaster was a primary, that even if it has never happened before, may we please, for the first time in the history of the school, have a joint assembly. And I'm glad that every one of here who's here, every one of us who's here today, you are part of making history, you are part of retelling our history. 20, 30 years from today, the pictures that we're capturing here today are going to be valued much, much more. And that is the value of history. Now, do we know this man? Those who say we know this man, can we see by show of hands? Come and tell us. So we don't know this man. Who will come and tell us who this man is? Do we agree?
No.
Okay. That was a good try. Can we have somebody else who can come and tell us who this man is? Come and tell us. Okay, can we be quiet a bit? Do you know the name? No, he's not. Okay. Can we get somebody to tell us who this man is? Okay. Do we all know Father McDonald?
Yes.
Thank you very much. What's your name? Sakizo Mumai. Congratulations. You will have this with you and take home to your parents. Thank you very much. Now, it is deliberate that I'm showing you this picture. This is going to be the inner cover of the book that is being written about the school. The title of the book is going to be Larry, Simply Larry. We are using Father Larry McDonald purely as a reference point. He represents the spirit of the Salesians in Swaziland in this book. But we all know that there are many, many other priests that were part of this building of the Salesian history. The other priest that we talk about quite extensively in this book is actually the priest that started this primary school. And that is Father Pat Fleming. How many of us know about Father Pat Fleming? Is there anybody who knows Father Pat Fleming? Nobody. So, it is important that as we teach our history to the children, we also teach the history which has actually made them. It is not enough to talk about the history of the Americans, to talk about the history of Europe, to talk about the history of Southern Africa, if we do not talk about the history of Swaziland and the history of Salesian. In September of this year, September 15, we are going to be launching the book, Larry Simply Larry, on the 15th and the 16th of September. This is Saturday and Sunday. On the 15th, please note this, young men and Botishela, it is going to be on the 15th of September at 2 o'clock in the Salesian Chapel. And the significance of using the chapel is because the chapel was one of the first buildings to be constructed on this property. This office and the main building where there is Form 1 were constructed between 1952 and 1953. The next building to be constructed, which was very important for who the Salesians are, in 1953 to 1954 was the chapel. And the interesting thing is, all the soil, all the sand that was used for building this school was taken from this river that runs below us. Kopo Kopo. Nyamati Kopo Kopo. That's the river that built the school. It provided the sand, the bricks, and the water for constructing the school. In those days, there was no cement produced in Swaziland. So Father Fleming, nalabanye bafundis, would drive all the way to Johannesburg to go and buy cement to build the school. It would take them 2 days driving in one direction and 2 days driving back, because there were no tar roads in those days. And when they designed the school, they designed it in a very interesting fashion. They designed it in a secular fashion. And in the book, we call it the circle of academic excellence. What do we call it? The circle of academic excellence. And that's what you are. What it means is, uma ungena egedeni, ungena la ka grade 1. Usuke ka grade 1, uye ka grade 2, grade 3. In those days, we would say standard 1, standard 2, standard 3, standard 4. Kusaseng standard 5 most lwangit. Uqede I primary school yakho. And then you cross over into high school to do Form 1, kule building lemkhulu, uthi Form 2, Form 3, Form 4, Form 5. Mawuqedze form 5 uphuma ngaleli longene ngalo. That is how it was designed. So those of us who are fortunate enough, we call them the complete Salesian boys. Complete Salesian boy is the one who started in grade 1 and ended in form 5 without a break. How many of us are going to do that full circle? How many of us are going to be complete Salesians? Thank you very much. Because that is a prize. Being a Salesian, everywhere you go in the world, you will be recognized for being a Salesian. No other school has this kind of recognition anywhere in the world. So you need to be proud of yourself. And the one other important thing about the school are these grounds right in the middle, where you have green grass or lawn. This is what is called the Sacred Heart of Salesian. That's where we would educate ourselves about life. That's where we would educate ourselves about the arts. That's where we would prepare ourselves for the future outside schools in being business people. And I'm hoping that every one of us here will go back to our parents and request, please, can we be at school on the 15th of September so that we can witness the launch of the historic book of the Salesians. Over and above that, it may be imperative that every Salesian family and every Roman Catholic family should have a copy of this book in their houses. Ube nel Bible lakho ngala, ube nencwadi ye-Salesian ngala, and your study books on one side. If you have that, you have your life complete. How many of us are going to be here September 15? Thank you very much. What I'm going to do, this is going to be the front cover of the book. As you can see from this document, the book is going to be green. Anybody guess why the book is going to be green? Because you are wearing green clothes. That is the foundation of the story. These are the roots of the history. And this is where it needs to be recognized, in these green covers. I will leave this with Potishela, and they will give you copies to take home, and other copies will be posted on the bulletin boards in our various classrooms. I am very glad that you've given me the attention to address you. If there are any questions, I am willing to take questions. Tisha, may I hand this over? Any questions? From the high school? From Botishela? Thank you very much. Deeply appreciated.
So, dear Salesian learners, again, it is an honor and a privilege to have someone with such stature like Mr. Elias Masilela this morning. His passion, his very blood flow is Salesian right through, and hopefully that same passion that you picked up this morning is addressed to you. I would like to thank the teachers, Salesian teachers, both in Form 1 and in the primary, for your attention this morning. But more so, again, a special welcome, and we wish Elias Masalela all the best in the launch. So do give him all the support. It is history in the making. It's going to be a very historical day. It's the first of its kind, so we are truly privileged that someone has taken the time and energy to kind of interview a good cross-section of teachers, past pupils, present pupils, again, who are still as passionate as hopefully you are. So once again, thank you for your attention, and a warm round of applause again for his presence among us this morning. Thank you. Just one more thing.
I forgot to mention that such a project, you can't do it on your own. There's a lot of people that contribute into it, so it is not an Elias Masilela project. There are many more people to thank, but those that I would like to thank today is my family, who has allowed me to do the things that I can do, and they've given me the patience, and they go with me wherever I go in support of the events that I do. And they are standing right at the end in T-shirts written "The Power of Music." We are having an event this year, which we have every year, where we do a 10-kilometer race on Saturday morning. Those of us who are willing to come and run, we can run around Manzini in celebrating the power of music. Siyabonga.
Guys, let's keep going.
Let's have 3 cheers for Elias Masilela and his family. Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray!
Form 1 stood up, but Form 1.